Hello everyone, welcome back. It is now March 23rd of 2021, and as we all witnessed with the Gina Carano firing, obviously a lot of fans have been very skeptical in a result of that about the future of the Star Wars franchise by Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni, and others out there, a part of Lucasfilm. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel for future Star Wars content. Now, one thing about Disney Star Wars is that yes, we do know that they already have over a dozen Star Wars projects in the works. Obviously, the two shows that a lot of fans are most excited for is the Ahsoka Tano series as well as the Kenobi series. The two main reasons why is because it all has to do with the mythical side of Star Wars. You know, the Jedi, the Force, and how it's all connected to the prequels and when it comes to the Kenobi series. Now, moving beyond this, we also know that Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, they've been putting a lot of work in to shows like Ahsoka and are even attached to the Kenobi series, so you're going to see a lot of elements in that show by Jon and Dave. But we do know that one individual, Kathleen Kennedy, is the very person that has been trying to sabotage everything, you know, from day one essentially. We have seen what she has done with the sequel trilogy, what she did with Solo when it came to the box office results, and so on and so forth. You know, this is pretty much a constant flow by Kathleen Kennedy. As I like to say, she's a force of destruction and does not care about the Star Wars fandom. Now, on top of this, we also know that Kathleen Kennedy is right now in the process of developing The Acolyte with Leslie Headland. Now, this particular series is going to focus more so on the High Republic era, the very end of that timeline, before it moves into the prequel trilogy era. So, she's working on that right now as we speak with Leslie. However, what's even all the more interesting is exactly what Jon Favreau was able to pull off by doing something incredible, by really standing up for the fans and preventing something terrible from happening. Now, given that The Mandalorian Season 3 is now in the works, both Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni are hard at work on developing a brand new set of shows, such as Ahsoka and others out there, yet to be announced later this year. It's described, however, that just recently creator Jon Favreau has been making major changes to the Star Wars universe and is erasing many of the ideas and concepts that were left over by Lucasfilm's Kathleen Kennedy and what she attempted to do with Jon Favreau's vision of Star Wars. It's described that recently Kathleen Kennedy was speaking with the higher-ups over at Lucasfilm and Disney in an attempt to actually undo Luke Skywalker's return in The Mandalorian Season 3 and 4. Kathleen Kennedy was essentially trying to end Luke Skywalker's return by Jon Favreau in the future Mandalorian series, and even did not want Jon and Dave to develop their own actual universe overall, and how they actually had a planned young Luke Skywalker TV series that Kathleen Kennedy does not want to happen. Many of the higher-ups over at Disney began to go ahead with the plan to no longer use the Luke Skywalker character in the Mando series, in a plan to use other new creative characters to replace Ahsoka Tano also in the Mando series. However, recently Jon Favreau was able to put his foot down and convince Disney that this would only cost them to lose more revenue and Star Wars fans, and overall just kind of fail at Star Wars. Recently, Disney's higher-ups listened to Favreau and ditched Kathleen Kennedy's plan to end Luke Skywalker in, of course, the Mandalorian series, along with replacing other characters as well in the process. So here we have Jon Favreau really convincing other higher-ups at Disney to not go through with Kathleen Kennedy's plan to essentially prevent Luke from coming back in the Mandalorian series. This was a big deal. This is obviously something that a lot of fans were always afraid of happening. The fact that Kathleen Kennedy would try to really kind of get rid of that fan favorite character that so many fans grew up with and just not even let Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni experiment with it. Now, Jon Favreau did the right thing, you know, putting his foot down, really convincing Disney's higher-ups, right, the board of Disney, along with Bob Chapek, the Disney CEO, to not go through with Kathleen Kennedy's plan here, to essentially not use Luke in Mando, nor have a young Luke Skywalker TV series, which, by the way, they plan on announcing that later this year, around the fall. There's been a lot of talk that the code name of that is going to be Star Wars Jedi Academy. But one thing is that we also know is that Kathleen Kennedy has not been taking her loss of creative power very well for the past couple of months, up to a year. You know, at the beginning of 2020, right around now actually, it's been a year, right in the beginning of 2020 is when Kathleen Kennedy lost full creative control over pretty much a majority of the projects and was only working on The Acolyte from that point on forward. Now here's the other thing that I think a lot of fans need to know that's very important, is that Jon and Dave, they did have some minor setbacks with The Mandalorian Season 3 because of what happened to Gina Carano. You know, that of course involves some minor delays, production-wise, some rewriting of the scripts. In fact, they're throwing in a brand new character to actually replace Gina Carano's Cara Dune instead of recasting her in Mando, an actual fan favorite character. So we're not quite sure exactly who that's going to be just yet, but they're actually replacing her character with a fan favorite one to ensure that this character's slot, this new, placement is going to be a fan favorite. Now, the other thing that I think is very interesting is how we're now in a phase where Kathleen Kennedy is able to do exactly what she wants to do with The Acolyte, until June, alright? So until June, she has all creative power over that show. We talked about this. This is the show that's going to dive more into the High Republic. It's going to include Geode the Rock character, which is very pathetic in my opinion. It just makes absolutely no sense. It's very lazy. Everything that we have seen in the High Republic is very lazy in my book. You guys can like it all you want. If you have an opinion on that, that's fine. But the Acolyte series is not going to do well. I can pretty much assure that. When we look at what's happening, how Kathleen Kennedy is the one running the show, how we also have Leslie Headland also being the one to call the shots, and she's not even really a fan herself, so she's just doing this, of course, to push an agenda once more. Here's the other thing, is that Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, what they're doing for The Mandalorian Season 3 and 4 is that they're shooting it back to back, or they're working on it in general back to back. So immediately once they're done filming Season 3, they're hopping right to Season 4. So we're not going to have as big of a gap between what we have with Season 2 and 3. Season 3 and 4 is going to be more closer together than ever before. So I think that's going to be a very interesting process to see exactly what they are planning and how many seasons they're really planning for Mandalorian, whether or not they're just going with the flow or they actually have a set number of seasons planned. I would like to see at least 10 seasons come out of The Mandalorian before they wrap things up completely, before they move on to something else. I think 10 is very, very sufficient. I think that Jon Favreau has the ability to do that as long as the writing is very much quality and is going to include all these new and amazing ideas that's going to capture the audience. So, like I said before in the past, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know about all of this in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
From night to moon we hear them moans again.